Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. From the glorious Emperor's Children to the grimy, dirty, misbegotten sons of Olympia, today we are taking a look at some of the rules coming in the new Horus Heresy game for the 4th Legion, the Iron Warriors. These guys are somewhat of an underrated and arguably fairly unrepresented legion in the game. The Iron Warriors do tend to have a bit of a harder lot in life, both in lore and on the tabletop. They always seem to be the forgotten stepchild of the legions, but they are actually really quite cool. And I will say, as a quick aside, if you are interested in them at all, the Heresy book Angel Exterminatus is a really good read. You actually get quite a good insight into Perturabo and his thinking and how he kind of followed the path into betraying the Emperor and following Horus. It is a genuinely really good read and I do highly recommend it. But anyway, on to the rules that you can expect to see for the Iron Warriors in Heresy 2.0. Once again, we get to see the main Legion trait, I suppose they could be called, and for the Iron Warriors, this is called Rack and Ruin. And what this does is that when a model with this rule shoots or attacks a Dreadnought, automata, building, or vehicle model, they get +1 to the strength of that attack. Now obviously this is hugely powerful for helping you push through wounds onto all manner of vehicles and big stompy enemies, and I mean sure it doesn't do anything against infantry, but if you can take out your opponent's rhinos and dreadnoughts and land raiders and sicarans, it is going to be much easier for you to mop up the weak infantry that are left over. Being able to push things like Lascannons to strength 10, melters to strength 9, and even your basic melee attacks from your tactical marines to strength 5 against vehicles is an enormous boost. It means that things like Lascannons will have double the chance of causing a penetrating hit on something like a land raider, and even your humble infantry dudes can actually penetrate a rhino when they attack it instead of just having to glance it down to death. It is in some ways quite restrictive, I guess, in that you can only do it against those specific targets, but it is, all told, an incredibly powerful buff, and I love the fact that it affects both ranged and melee. It's going to mean that any vehicle your opponent brings to the battlefield is very quickly going to find itself wrecked under both the firepower and the melee potential of your Iron Warriors. It's a really strong, really fluffy trait as well, which I like, and I think it will make your opponents genuinely terrified to run certain units and certain rites of war if they know they might have to go up against you and your Iron Warriors. They also show off a new form of bolter round coming uniquely for the Iron Warriors. The shrapnel weapons are a special ammunition type that it seems you can put on almost any bolter, bolt pistol or heavy bolter, and they replace the standard round with the alternative options that you can see on your screen now. As you may notice, they tend to limit the range somewhat, dropping from 12 inches to 10, 24 inches to 18, and so on for the other versions, but the trade-off for that is that you get the pinning rule on your shots, and this can be incredibly handy in forcing your opponent's squads to hunker down and just hide from the onslaught of firepower. Pinning at the moment forces your opponent to take a leadership test, and if they fail they have to go to ground, and I believe in the new edition, from the rumours that we saw a little while ago, pinning now does something similar in that you can't move, run or charge, and you can only fire snapshots while you are under the effect, and you cannot make any reactions. So it really does almost completely neuter a unit from making any real contribution to the game for a turn. So this is quite a powerful ability to have on pretty much all of your mainline infantry weaponry. And if you can force a few tests onto enemy squads, they should definitely fail a few, meaning that you will not only be able to stop them firing effectively into you, but you can also massively dictate how the movement of the game is going on, and you can control the dynamics and the flow of the battle a lot more. So if you need an enemy unit to, not move onto that objective, or you want to stop it moving into position for a charge later in the game, this is going to be a really handy set of rules for your bolters to load up with and just start peppering into your opponents. I think the bolter rounds in general are going to be really handy for helping you deal with the opponent's infantry, whilst your main rack and ruin rule is going to really allow you to get rid of and take out the enemy tanks and heavy vehicles. So you do have a good way of dealing with both vehicles and infantry, and in some ways I think it's quite fluffy and lore appropriate. You can just shoot at the enemy soldiers and, you know, pin them all down so that they can't move and advance, whilst you take out the vehicles with your extra strength Lascannons and melter or whatever. And then when all the enemy vehicles are taken care of, then you can let the enemy troops stand up again and just charge into them and take them out almost at your leisure. It's a really cool way of making the Iron Warriors capable of dealing with both vehicles and infantry in separate ways, but in ways that kind of mesh together, and you can almost put the infantry on the back burner and just not worry about them by pin them down, and then just deal with the vehicles, you know, first, and get rid of all the transports, the heavy vehicles, the land raiders, the rhinos, whatever it may be, and then just focus on the infantry, which have been sort of held back in their half of the table by all of your pinning firepower until you're ready to deal with them. It's really cool and really powerful, I think, and it, to me, seems really fluffy with how the Iron Warriors operated. So there we go, those are the Iron Warriors rules that we have been shown off so far. What do you make of them? Do you think the Iron Warriors are going to be the bane of vehicles everywhere? And do you think the bolter rounds are worth giving up that range to get the pinning rule to help you just tie down enemy squads? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.